Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a massive, frankly monumental, shift happening right now in the automotive retail landscape. We're talking about the ultimate goal for dealership group owners, finally making that leap from reactive management to proactive, predictive leadership. For years, right, the industry has just kind of accepted a certain level of chaos as the cost of doing business. But what if you could completely change the very architecture of how you command your enterprise?
Seriously, think about that for a second. What if you could actually spot dealership drift before it turns into structural damage? Look, if you're a group owner, you absolutely know that deep-seated anxiety of delayed reporting. Finding out about a bad month only after the books are totally closed. Okay, let's dive into this and figure out how we can stop governing by history.
Section 1. The Fog of Leadership, Governing by History. To understand the fix, we've got to be honest about the problem. And here is the really painful reality of multi-rooftop management right now. You are more than likely suffering from some major dashboard fatigue. Think about your general managers and directors. They are probably logging into 15 to 25 completely siloed systems just to piece together what happened yesterday. You're relying on delayed P&L metrics and what we honestly call autopsy reporting, because by the time those numbers actually tell you there's a problem, well, the damage is already done, the month is over, and the capital has just bled out.
And there's a much deeper issue hiding here. Making decisions driven purely by end-of-month financial metrics, that completely ignores the human elements that actually create those metrics in the first place, your human resources, their energy, and burnout. You see, in a dealership, just because a system is technically working and generating volume does not mean it's healthy. In fact, massive spikes in volume often signal underlying instability. They mask this massive operational friction that eventually will absolutely break your team.
Section 2. From reactive to proactive, the paradigm shift.
So how do we actually fix this? Well, leadership absolutely must change if an enterprise is going to survive, let alone thrive, at scale. And the contrast we're looking at brilliantly illustrates this shift. On one side, you have the friction of the past, delayed reality, siloed tools, autopsy reporting. But then on the other side, you have the Keystone way, real-time truth, early intervention, and a unified operating system. It's all about stopping the cycle of managing the aftermath of your business and stepping up to lead the reality of your business in real time.
So what exactly is this platform? Basically, Keystone is an AI middleware. It's a read-only operating intelligence layer that sits gracefully right on top of your existing DMS and CRM systems. And the best part, it pulls real-time data without ever altering your systems of record. It's a zero-risk, totally PII-protected framework. So it unifies your data without forcing you to rip out and replace all the software your teams are already used to.
Now, Keystone operates on a really specific understanding of how a dealership actually functions. It recognizes a foundational resource hierarchy. As an owner, yes, your primary business resource is capital. But think about it. Capital ultimately consumes people. People consume time, and time requires energy to convert into output. If you are only measuring the capital at the top, you are entirely missing the engine that actually generates it.
Section 3. Your early warning system, detecting the drift.
By giving you proactive visibility, Keystone becomes this incredibly powerful tool. It allows for true cause-and-effect leadership long before irreversible decisions are made on the showroom floor. It essentially takes all that chaos from your siloed data and translates it into 3 crystal-clear vital signs. First, you have retail efficiency, which is just how fast you convert opportunities to revenue. Then, process efficiency, how well your team actually follows your standards. And finally, capital conversion, your real-time cash velocity. So as an owner, you don't have to endlessly hunt through spreadsheets for profit anymore. You just monitor these 3 fundamental indices of health.
There's a philosophy at the core of all this. Data exists to ask better questions. Data shouldn't be used to make blind assumptions or to automate harsh judgments. Instead, Keystone uses your data to instantly detect any imbalance in your operations. And then, and this is key, it routes the exact right question to the exact right leader. It's an intelligence engine built to prompt human insight, not replace it. Because it processes all this data with literal zero latency, Keystone lets you step in before a mistake ever hits the P&L. We're talking about detecting capital bleeds, like a stalled contract in finance or, a double-sold VIN, the exact moment they happen. It then gives you, the executive, the power to issue a direct voice or text directive straight to a store GM. You can stop a permanent loss right in its tracks.
Section 4. Protecting human energy, the ultimate resource.
But look, stopping capital bleeds is really only half the equation here. The most empathetic and honestly, the most absolutely critical part of this entire architectural shift is how we manage the human elements. Which brings us to perhaps the most profound realization a dealership group can make. People do not run on money, they run on energy. If you ignore the energy of your staff just to chase, say, manufacturer bonuses or those crazy weekend volume spikes, sure, you might get some short-term gains, but you are buying long-term instability and massive turnover.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how the system actually interacts with your staff. Keystone is designed as a guardian, not a judge. It genuinely respects physical and mental limits, like the 888 rule for work, rest, and life. So when it detects an imbalance or a sudden drop in a salesperson's performance, it doesn't send a write-up. It initiates gentle, supportive check-ins.
Here is how that energy protection plays out in the real world. Keystone completely eliminates those unproductive, "Hey, how did yesterday go?" manager meetings. It frees your leaders from all that reporting drudgery so they can get back to actually coaching their teams. It flags burnout risks before someone packs up their desk and quits. And it shifts the entire dealership culture away from being punishment-focused to one of consistent, positive reinforcement. This alone single-handedly attacks the ridiculously costly cycle of industry attrition.
Section 5. Scaling your standards from 5 to 50 rooftops. Okay, so you've protected your capital and you've protected your people. Now, how do you actually grow? The bottleneck for group owners is rarely a lack of talent. It is the immense friction of managing at scale. What Keystone does is institutionalize your specific best practices into an automated execution layer. Meaning, when you add new rooftops or when that veteran manager finally retires, your hard-earned tribal knowledge doesn't just walk out the front door. The system itself becomes the trainer. The system maintains your standard. Keystone structures all of this growth through verifiable, totally portable career records. Every single employee moves through distinct, self-paced certification phases. They start at rookie readiness, move up to pro performance, and eventually hit legend level. It takes accidental leadership development and replaces it with a hardwired, highly measurable process.
And I've got to say, the operational leverage you get here is just staggering. Employees build these portable profiles complete with scannable QR credentials that literally prove their competencies. Let's say you're hiring someone from another Keystone-enabled store. Your systems can actually communicate and negotiate their compatibility, which dramatically reduces onboarding time for experienced hires. And remember, because it's a read-only integration, all this scales up with absolutely zero downtime for your existing software.
So the crucial point is really captured right here. Command your enterprise in the present tense. Keystone isn't just a slightly better reporting tool. It is fully restored leadership control. It clears out all the noise, surfaces the actual operational truth, and allows you to lead with absolute certainty while your decisions actually still matter.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question for literally any dealership group owner looking toward the future. Will you continue managing through the fog of history, or are you ready to lead your enterprise in the present? If you are ready to make that shift, well, it might just be time to initiate your own executive briefing on this transformative architecture. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this gave you some serious clarity on the future of automotive command.